Hello, everybody. My name is Alexis, and member of the Encoras team. Please welcome you all to the session number 5 of this Global Dev Week. And I'm very happy because I'm broadcasting live from Mexico City at the new offices of Encora, and actually one of the more than 40 offices around the world. Please let us know where you're from. We want to hear from you. The following pre-recorded session is from one member of India's team, Kirti Badi. She is a quality-oriented professional with more than 11 years of experience in manual software testing. We will discuss different types of testing and their purpose in software development. We will also analyze key qualities expected from QS to be successful test engineers and talk about the role of QA in each phase of software development cycle through an agile methodology to create a quality outcome. Before to start, please remember to follow us on our social media appearing right now on the screen, and we want to hear from you, so please leave us your comments. We want to stay in contact with all of you. So nothing more to say. It leaves me nothing more to say, so let's start with the following session.
Hello everyone. Today my topic is on role of QA and agile testing. Most of you were already aware what is agile, but I want to show the importance of QA in agile testing, which gives us an overall view of why QA is important in agile testing is. And let's get into the session. So today we are going to discuss about all these different contents in this particular session, and we'll talk on each of these topics in further slides. So coming to agile, what is an agile for most of us? It's just like it's an approach that we decided to develop a software, and by gathering a few set of requirements, and these requirements are not built in a single stretch. It is built iteratively and incrementally in a proper manner to get a proper output or with a quality. And each cycle will last for 1 to 4 weeks. Usually we don't recommend more than 4 weeks of a sprint, because that leads to unexpected issues where we cannot think of what is the end product and what is the definition of done to. And we always encourage agile to get early and continuous deployments, so that minimal viable product will be delivered to the end customer as early as possible instead of the traditional waterfall model. Now let's see what is the role of QA in agile testing cycle. Most of us will be thinking the testers are required to just write the test cases and do the execution, but that's the wrong expectation from most of us. Actually, the QA role starts right from the requirement analysis phase itself, where we start discussing the requirements in the sprint backlog. So during the requirement analysis phase, QS will take active participation to understand the requirements and perform analysis to identify the gaps on the requirements. And if any enhancements are required, QA can suggest them and make sure that product owners are updating that into your backlogs too. So once that is done, and user story analysis will be taken care within this, and they will ensure all the expected information is part of your user story, whether the acceptance criteria is detailed enough along with your screenshots, wireframes, and the impact analysis given by the development team. All this stuff are taken care in the user story analysis. And in planning and estimation phase, as a QA, I recommend any QA should not plan for your 100% of capacity, because while we are doing our execution, we may get unforeseen issues or bugs that may get into the sprint because of the new story implementation. And we may find out new rework effort spent within the sprint. So plan 80 to 85% of your effort for actual work, and 15% have it as a buffer for your retesting effort. And coming to test design and review, most of us will be thinking we don't have any documentation in Agile and test design is not part of Agile. But that's a wrong perception. Test design is important in any model of testing. If you don't have the test design, at least maintain a minimal work checklist to ensure what is going to be tested, what is your plan for testing, and what exactly you're planning for current sprint. And just set your test environment too. So setting up a test environment might be a part of development team, DevOps team, and other teams too. But ensuring that test environment is ready before the code deployment is the QA's responsibility. And test execution, doing a round of test execution on the functional requirements and ensuring there are no deviations being done, and raising any defects and reporting defects back to the development team for any deviations found with a proper documentation. When I say documentation, don't think that we are going to do a lot of documentation in order to report a defect. Documentation is nothing but providing enough details on the defect to the development team, where the development team can pick up the defect easily and fix it without any further to and fro communications. And once that is fixed and the functional testing is done, then team will focus on regression testing. In regression testing, we recommend automation as much as possible, because due to dynamic nature of Agile, there might be a situation team has to perform regression again and again within the same sprint. So in order to avoid this and save the QA effort, we recommend to do automation. Once that is done and every bugs are fixed, and that provide a sign off to the UAT. If there are some open bugs which are not critical and blocker to the release, make sure you are providing a conditional sign off to the UAT. In UAT phase, team will test the application from the user's perspective, how good the application is fit for the user. And then if no issues were identified, then the release will happen with the approval from the QAs with the form of sign off. And here, as QAs are the gatekeepers for the quality, without our sign off, the deployment should not happen to the live. And coming to the responsibilities of QA in Agile testing, most of us will be thinking QAs are just for writing test cases and execution, but that's the wrong perspective. Beyond writing test cases, QA had lot of role in Agile testing, lot of responsibilities within Agile testing. Like within a Scrum team, QA can be can act as a proxy product owner too. In case of if there is no product owner available, QA may act as a proxy product owner and can keep the quality of a product up to the mark by collaborating with other Scrum teams to bring and talking about the gaps and ensuring that development team were on track with the expectation from the end customer. And estimating the user stories, QA role is very vital in estimation phases. They are the gatekeepers of the quality. We cannot compromise on the estimates given by the quality team. So whenever you're providing your estimates, ensure you're providing your estimates including the positive and negative scenarios, and you provide estimates including your regression testing. And this will ensure that we are meeting the client expectations on time with the proper transparent estimations. And interaction with the Scrum teams is also plays an important role, because communication between the developers and QA will help to get a actual quality output. Because whenever QA demands for the regular demos or catch-up calls, there might be discussion happens on the requirements again and again that will bring in as a situation where new requirements get added, or if there are any deviations that can be corrected at the requirement phase itself or the development phase itself instead of getting into the QA phase. Automate, automate, automate. This is the whole agenda of the Agile. We ask everyone to automate. What exactly to be automated? Wherever it is possible, whatever it is feasible, please automate it and ensure that is being available for the whole team members to execute it whenever it is needed. Because there is a lot of dynamic nature in Agile requirements, and we may expect deployments at any point of your delivery life cycle. So make sure you have your regression test suite automated and save your manual effort for the exploratory testing. And coming to the Agile Manifesto. What is Agile Manifesto? It's just documentation with the 4 values and 12 core principles, which helps the team to stick to the agenda, like a working software over comprehension documentation. What does it mean by? In traditional model, we usually document a lot. A comprehensive document is required before making a single change of code changes in any software. But in Agile, we expect the delivery of a software as soon as possible with the quality, even without documentation. And customer collaboration over contract negotiation. In traditional model, usually the contracts will dictate what exactly to be achieved at the end, but this may lead to deviations because there are a lot of changes happen in between the release cycle, and they cannot be accommodated because we are already planned what is required in the contract. But in Agile, it's not the case. Here we had a customer collaboration right from the day one of your product development life cycle, and with the regular feedbacks given from them, we can inculcate the changes because it's not static. and the plan is not static. So we can inculcate those changes into our plan and we can execute them in your future sprints and get the end product as per the customer expectations. And responding to change over the following a plan. In traditional model, the plan is a static, but in Agile, it's completely dynamic. There is no point of having a static plan in Agile Manifesto. So whenever there is a feedback or a change, it can be easily adaptable by the QA team with the help of the product owners. The product owners are the people who can modify the roadmaps as per the feedbacks given, the learnings done, and they are the people who are responsible to share the information to the Scrum team so that the team can easily adaptable to the response to the changes. Individuals and interactions over process and tools. Here, no matter how good you are and what high standards you are maintaining, it's the team you are working and collaborating together decides the success of your project. So make sure you are talking with each other, communicating each and every issues that helps everyone in the team to be sticking to the single goal, and that helps team to get into success. And this Agile Manifesto is just a mindset, not strict rules to be followed. So please don't think this is our rules that we have to follow for sure in any team. And now we discussed about the Agile Manifesto, but how a QA fit into Agile Manifesto is also important in any Agile team. So let's discuss on it. QA in Agile Manifesto, how they fit into is work comprehensive documentation over working software. So it's an opportunity for a QA team. Instead of spending time on the documentation, they can spend time on the exploratory testing. Like they can spend time on the automating things. They can spend time on the identifying the right tool for their approach and make sure the team is efficient, predictable, productivity is increased, and the way how we are providing our results are easy to track. All this stuff can be done by the QA team. So take this as an opportunity to get into Agile. And also a tip for this is QA should not be writing extensive documentation until it's adding a value to your team. Do documentation only if add values to your team. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. QA and Agile mainly focus on collaboration, but not with the contracts. So consider that you're working, you have to collaborate with your end customer as a partner instead of a business person. You have to be working with them as a partner by asking few questions like what. When I say what questions, what level of quality they are expecting, what level of non-functional requirements they're needing, and what type of testing we have to do over there. Ask more questions and do a right approach of testing for your customer. And responding to change over following a plan. This is one of the biggest concern in all the QS, because how to test a moving targets. Don't build a plan for your future. This is my advice. Don't ever build a plan for your future, since it will never come true in Agile. Try to add more effort towards automation, which will help you to accommodate the unplanned changes into your team. That saves your effort on manual testing, and that automation testing will take care of your changes. And QA can spend time on their exploratory testing. Individual interactions over process and tools. So when I say this, QA should be involved throughout the Agile test life cycle, like from design decisions, requirement decisions, and if there are any ad hoc meetings conducted within the team on the requirements, please include the QA team into it so that they will try to accommodate those changes into their test design and ensure to optimize the process in understanding the requirements without any impact to the quality or the deliverables. And coming till now, we were discussing about the values in the Agile Manifesto. Let's discuss on the few principles or core values of Agile testing, because we have 12 principles, but we are going to talk only 8 core principles out of it. So which will help us to understand the principles, what is required in the Agile testing. So constant responding in Agile, continuous feedback will help us to get understand whether we are meeting the customer requirements or not. Less documentation will help us to give high priority to the delivery instead of spending time on the documentation. Continuous testing is recommended with the dynamic nature of the Agile testing, and doing continuous testing will help us to understand if there are any induced defects because of the new changes being done in the deployments, And customer satisfaction with the regular feedbacks and reviews or demos given to the customer, we get to know whether the customer is getting satisfied with the new changes, and we can bring in the feedback and reviews into our working model, and we can ensure they are being implemented in the future sprints so that the customer get more satisfied. And easy and clean code. Here in Agile, we mostly concentrate to fix the defects within the same iteration, which gives us a clean code, as well as we work more towards like a optimized approach to get a proper code, like a code refactoring that will help us to that is taken as a priority, so we get a clean code at the end of this Agile. And involvement of entire team. In traditional model, usually testing team is the sole responsible for code quality, but in Agile, that's not the case. Whole BS, POs, like our development team, Scrum Master, everyone, each one of us have their own roles to inform of maintaining the quality. And test driven, like in Agile, testing is done during the implementation of a product itself at each and every phase. So that what happens is testing can be done in each phase will help us to achieve right quality at the right time. And quicker feedbacks, the last one is the quicker feedbacks. As a business team, it is involved in every iteration to help us to get the quick feedbacks, as well as that QA performs the automation. We usually do an IT batch job running for the automation cycle. So whenever the deployment happens, within the next day, we get an update on the fallouts or deviations happen because of the new deployments, and it will be very easy to catch hold of the regression issues. And coming to the QA roles, different QA roles in Agile team, we have a manual testers who performs the manual testing on all edge case scenarios by doing exploratory testing. And automation tester is a person who identifies the right test cases in the right right test cases for automation by doing a feasibility test on automation, and try to do maintain the test cases too, because doing automation is also equally important as a maintaining test cases, because he is the responsible for removing the unwanted test cases and adding right test case into the batch job. Technical lead is a person who helps us to resolve any technical issues, as well as he is the person who takes care of the team is on the right path without deviations. And team lead is a person who works, who takes care of the process related issues and ensures team is on the right path related to the process. And performance testers, in most of the teams, they think performance testing is not part of Agile testing, but think that in any type of testing, if the non-functional requirements were not taken care, we are failed. So please make sure performance testers are really important, who looks into the product scalability and stability of your product to ensure that we are giving a right product to their customers with a good feel. And here the performance testers will let you know whether your product quality, product scalability and stability is good, poor, fair, or great. And till now we were talking about the different roles of QA, but how we are going to integrate these QAs into Agile is also important. We have to maintain quality throughout your development life cycle, and as QA is included into the development from the beginning of your initial phase of your testing, right from requirement gathering to the end of life cycle. It's really important to maintain the quality. And quality, user story quality should be maintained by QA responsible to should be part of user story writing and acceptance criteria. And the QA can demand your development team to provide the provide what are the impacted areas because of the new changes being done. They are responsible to provide all the impacted areas and definition of ready. Once all the acceptance criteria is detailed enough, if the screenshots, wireframes are provided within the user story, if the acceptance criteria had all the information, there are no dependent user stories to be developed before picking up this user story, then definition of done is definition of ready is being given by the QA team. And definition of done, each team had their own definition of done checklist. So make sure that QA gets the definition of done checklist before picking up any user stories, so that they will know what is the scope of your user story testing. And communication, no matter how good the process is, if there is a lack of communication among your team, then it is difficult to produce a high quality product. As a QA, you should be able to communicate the risk or deviations on time with your team members and ensure they are the people who provide solutions to them also. Detailed description while raising defects is also important as part of documentation. And development team will that will reduce the development team effort while providing while fixing the defects and to understand it more easily. And documentation is also important to provide to prepare minimal like documentation is also important for preparing minimal checklist for your testing. What should be tested? What is your plan for testing too? And test environment preparation will be part of it's a combination of DevOps and QA team, whereas QA responsibility to ensure the test environment and test data is ready by the time code is being deployed. Ticket workflow is nothing but you can take any test management tool, HPLM, Jira, or any type of test management tool, but ensure the ticket flow workflow is being followed with the right status and right time, because that helps the team to understand where exactly we are and whether we are able to achieve that goal on time or not. Exploratory testing will help the QA team to do right job on right time by doing a parallel testing on design and execution. Test automation is, as I said, this is the major part for any agile team. Automate as much as possible wherever it is possible. And these are the few challenges any agile testing team is facing: last minute modifications, tool selection, lack of documentation, repeated changes in code, and limited test coverage. These are the few challenges which I'm drafting here, but there are other challenges too, but these are the major challenges. Last minute modifications is faced by every team most oftenly. Like clients will always come up with a new updates or new changes. So this is one of the biggest challenge, because with this, the QA will get reduced test life cycles. Tool selection of tools during Agile is really very tough, because if we choose any tool and that choice is gone wrong, team will be into trouble and we cannot modify it for the complete iteration. So make sure you're choosing the right tool and don't rush for your tools. Lack of documentation. As I said, we prefer less documentation, that's expected because of the reduced life cycles. But this is one of the challenge, because we don't know what exactly the result we are going to predict. And repeated changes in code. In any agile method, requirement modification updates are really vital, and it creates the biggest challenge for the quality assurance team. And limited test coverage with reduced life cycles, with reduced test life cycles and repeated changes in code, we cannot provide complete test coverage. Now we are talking about challenges in agile testing, but how can we overcome these challenges? These are the few points we can say that how to overcome: exploratory testing, test-driven testing, automated testing, and automated regression testing. In exploratory testing, team will perform test design and execution parallel by doing analysis and learning, which will help the QA team to spend less time in testing by testing in the right areas of development. And in automation, most of us will be thinking automation is required only at the QA phase, but that's a wrong impression. The automation should start right from the unit testing level itself. If you see this pyramid of automation, it's broader at unit testing and reduced at the GUI test level. So automate more at the bottom level so that the QA effort will be reduced in the top level. Test-driven approach is really important for any development team to refactor your code quality and ensure your code quality is really good by doing a repeated test, by making positive and negative scenarios to be tested, and try to automate as much as possible of your regression testing. Make sure automation is part of your testing lifecycle. And these are the few advantages which we want to discuss today. So when I say advantages, I can say since the end user, these are not only these advantages, we have many advantages. These are the key advantages. Okay, first one is the regular feedback. Since the end user is involved from initial phases of testing, quicker feedbacks are helpful for any team to inculcate any changes as quick as possible. And with this, we save a lot of time and money, and we can have a transparent estimations too. And regular meetings to determine the issues as QA is interacting and collaborating with the development team or BAs, product owners regularly. We can discuss about the issues and get resolutions immediately, which help us to get quick updates from any one of them. Less documentation. We prefer to do less documentation over providing high quality product with the exploratory testing. And this will reduce the errors and increase our productivity. And with there might be minor inconsistencies, but it will provide for sure a higher efficiency product. And there might be disadvantages too, like a member dependency. Within a sprint, if two members are working on the same sprint goal, if there is a dependency one on other development activity, so if one of them fails, we fail as a team. So my point here is don't ever take any testing, any development activity which is parallel together. if definition of done is not ready for one of the activity. Okay, software and there is another problem also. If two of them were working and if one of them left the organization and it is dependent on the other task, then we may get into failure. So this is one of the disadvantage too. And software get inconsistent with a lack of determination. Lack of determination from the testing team may lead to team failure itself. So to overcome this, collaboration between the team members to discuss the issues and expectations, customer expectations, will keep us on track always. Difficult to predict the expected results due to low documentation. So we recommend to maintain at least minimal checklist to get a documentation ready. Increase in regression bugs due to continuous changes. Since there is a dynamic changes in the agile team, so we agile requirements, we recommend to do regression as much as possible using automation. These are the few testing agile methodologies that we use across the organizations. But in this, behavior-driven development is one of the most famous and helpful one for any agile test methodologies. So what is a behavior-driven development? So when I say behavior-driven development, here all the stakeholders, BAs, product owners, QA team, developers come together to understand what is the issues, and they come up with a common approach to do some sort of testing. And they will write the acceptance criteria in plain English and get the acceptance criteria documented to make it understandable by everyone on the QA team. Not only the QA team, everyone in the Scrum team. As everyone are on the same line, it will be easy for them to achieve the common goal too. And here the test cases are, the acceptance criteria is mostly written in the form of Cucumber framework. The criteria will be written in the form of Cucumber framework, which can be inherited easily into your automation test suites. And using this build automation, we can recommend the BAs to build in Jerkin syntax so that the BA teams can start working on creating a Jerkin syntax for your test acceptance criteria creation. But we recommend not to follow the BDD frameworks in few projects where there are large number of test steps and where there are existing test cases, because it will be overburdened for your BAs to write it in a Jerkin syntax. In that case, we don't prefer BDD approach. So best practice of QA in agile testing. These are the few best practices that we expect in any QA. Pushing developers for fixing defects. This is one of the way that we provide a feedback to the development team, which motivates and which encourages the development team to be online with the fixing of defects and standing on the same goal. And risk analysis. As a QA, you are the point of contact for any risk that happens in the release. So please make sure you are providing proper risk assessment before sending any sign-offs. Continuous testing. This is one of the important one where every QA should do, because in agile, because of the dynamic nature of agile, we have to do a continuous testing through the automation. Pick right testing methods that meet your goals. Do not rush for any tools. Do a proper POC before picking up any tool for your testing. And keep it clear and concise records. I know documentation is not important, but make sure you are having at least a checklist to ensure that what has been tested and what not been tested. And use in your test plan, make sure you are updating exploratory testing with automated tests, also part of it, and make sure you are adding non-functional performance testing also into it. These are the few best practices we expect. And this is a pyramid which shows that how exploratory testing is being carried out at each phase of testing. And testing early and often is also really important, because as QA is involved right from the beginning of the agile life cycle, it's important to test as early as possible and know your customer. This is a really important point, because knowing your customer makes you to understand where exactly you are dipping in and what exactly the end customer is, and work as an end customer and test as an end customer. And this is the agile test life cycle. With the 5 different phases. It will start right from the impact assessment. In impact assessment, we will be doing assessment of requirements, and we will be gathering stakeholders, users that takes as a feedback. And this we also call as a feedback phase, where we inculcate those feedbacks in your next sprints. And in the planning and daily stand-ups, as we discussed, these are the things which we follow in agile life cycle, which we already discussed. Start planning, what we discussed, daily stand-ups we discussed, and review meetings. The review meetings were nothing but where the demos were conducted, and we'll be understanding what was being developed in the current sprint and what is the value that has been added. If the product is adding, the development has adding value to the product, then that will be added as part of your release, or if not, that will be added back to your backlog. And coming to the Agile test plan, this is a few points which we have to take in Agile test plan. This is similar to your traditional test plan. The only difference is in traditional test plan, we prepare test plan only for once, but in Agile, we prepare it for each and every iteration. And this is one of the testing quadrants which we follow at Agile. Like in Q1, we follow the automatic quadrant. Like we do all automatic at the code level for making sure that code quality is good. And for Q2, we'll be considering the functional testing, story testing, and here we make sure that automation and manual both are taken care. And here simulators and emulators being used for doing this automation and manual testing. And here in manual testing, in the Q3, we do only pure manual testing for exploratory testing wherever automation is not possible. And we perform exploratory testing as much as possible along with the UAT testing. And in quadrant 4, we mostly concentrate on the non-functional testings to make sure that product is scalable enough for the end customer. We do a performance test, load test, security test, and quality attributes in the Q4. So in each quadrant, it shows what value we are adding to the team. Here we are adding value to the business. Here we are adding value to the technology. Here we are testing the critical product, and here we are supporting the team. So these are the few good QAs qualities we are expecting in any QA team. Like we can say these are the few things which every QA should possess it. QA should be result oriented and with shorter goals and shorter targets. QA should understand what's the scope of testing and provide quality results as output. Maintain transparent in your objectives and goals is really important to ensure you are on the right track. Making testing as ongoing activities is also really important because with the continuous deployments and changes. Arrange demonstration from your developers is important that ensures the collaboration between the dev team and QA team and reduce the gaps between the teams. And these are the few tasks that we do in Agile testing, like we help in definition of done, scoping and estimation, assess the testability, design and execute the test cases, we automate, we collaborate, we verify the fixes and attend the scrum calls. We discussed all these points in our previous slides, but what is metrics and tracking and RC of quality? Metrics are really important to understand what exactly we achieved and what went wrong. And also the metrics are important to know what was planned and what was achieved too. Apart from this, RCA is also important because as a QA, we are the gatekeepers of the quality. We cannot compromise on anything. We have to learn from our mistakes. What was the followers in our previous production cycle, and we have to make a root cause analysis on it using a 5 whys or fishbone analysis, any kind of analysis, ensure that is being documented along with your action plans and track your action plans to closure. So these are the few top Agile testing trends which we follow across the organizations, out of which DevOps is the best approach, which most of the organization follows. DevOps is nothing but combination of the development and operations, which ensures the speed delivery and stabilized product with reliability, and we provide a rapid delivery and it enhances the security of the system and improves the collaboration automation and minimize the cost of production. So this is the really important part of any Agile team to follow the DevOps. So with the time constraint, I'm not going to dive deep on this DevOps, but this is one of the important approach that any Agile team to be followed. And this is one slide which I want to show you for the testers versus the rest of the before getting into Agile and after getting into Agile. The QA and Dev used to be like enemies before the Agile, and they used to work two individual entities working with the same requirement with two different approaches, but post Agile they are working together as a single entity, which brings in equality. So these are the few references which you can go and refer for knowing more on QA role in Agile. And thanks for your time. Thanks for providing me this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much to the Encora India's team for this great session. Thank you, Keribadi, for this great content that you share with us. I would like to share with you once again our social media in order that you can write us. You can also write us at devweek@encora.com. Please stay tuned because our next session will start at 2 p.m. PST. So that's it. This is the session for today. We hope to see you again really soon. Take care.